What is up, Caleb Shaw? Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super blessed to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, Caleb, I asked everyone on the What's Up podcast what they are all about right now. So is there something that you're all about right now? Maybe that's not basketball being in season?
Honestly, with it being season, it's really all just about basketball and just trying to, you know, get, win the WAC and then hopefully, make it to March Madness. But other than that, our team has done a little bit of Bible studies on Sundays with David. So that's been good. Just kind of keeping us sane through the season. Other than that, it's really just been, basketball the whole time.
That's awesome. And March Madness is so exciting. I know I was talking to somebody else the other day and we were talking about March Madness predictions. Like, man, it's not even February yet, but we're gonna get it done. So that's super exciting. And what's David's formal role in your guys' team?
He doesn't really have a formal role, but he has. I've known him since my freshman year of college. I went to Northern Colorado, and he was actually working with the Colorado State men's basketball team, and he kind of worked with our team a little bit as well. So I met him out there, and then he ended up moving to Phoenix just this year. And so since we had that connection, we kind of reconnected again, and we decided like, hey, like let's do something. Let's have a little Bible study with the team where we can meet. Just kind of refocus for the week even. And so we decided to do that, and David's been great. He meets with, individually with guys as well. And so he's been really good for our team and just, being an outside source for us.
Yeah, that's cool. And David Wacker is who connected me to you. So shout out to David, and that's super awesome. But I do want to get into the spiritual side of your basketball team and your basketball journey and all the things that you mentioned and March Madness and all the fun things. But first, I know that you did high school in Arizona, but you grew up maybe in Nashville, and I also saw something about Italy with you. So could you just name all the places that you've lived?
Yeah, I can kind of give you the rundown. So from when I was born to about 8 years old, I lived in Italy because my dad played professional basketball over there. And then I lived in Indiana for 2 years, Chicago for 3 years, Nashville for 4 years, and then I've been in Phoenix since then. So kind of been everywhere. And then my freshman year of college, I lived in Colorado. So
Man,
yeah, I've
you've
kind of
been
hit
everywhere.
every kind of part of the USA. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I got two of those places. I got Nashville and Indiana. So, and technically,
Well,
my
also
work is.
yeah, Nashville's my favorite place I think I've been. Just probably the age I was, the friends I have there. Like I have a really special place for Nashville.
That's sweet. That's sweet. And I did you pick up a southern accent a little bit? Did you pick up the y'all?
No, I didn't pick up the southern accent, but I would say I remember like the first year of school there, I used to get yelled at all the time for not saying yes ma'am, no sir, and I just wasn't used to it. So I did pick that up. So now I always use yes ma'am and no sir and yes sir, and so I guess that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's funny because I also struggled with that. My first day of school in Nashville, I said yes to the teacher and not yes, ma'am. I'm not over exaggerating. I was in fourth grade. I got pulled out of the class and she was like, "What did you say to me?" And I was like, "Yes." She goes, "It's yes, ma'am." And then I
Yeah,
moved here to
yeah,
Boston and I say yes, ma'am. And these women get offended for calling you ma'am. So it's very different
yeah,
around the country.
yeah. It is. It is. I remember the same thing happened to me. I got in trouble. I think I was in like sixth grade though, and I remember I was like, yeah, and they were like, yeah, what? And I had no idea what she was talking about. I was like, what? Yeah,
You got to be careful, but it's good. Now when you go different places in the U.S., you know what the manners have to be and what you're allowed to
yeah,
say. Well, I want to get
exactly,
into
exactly.
your college basketball career, but I know that you definitely have a lot of AAU basketball memories. So when you think back to your time playing travel basketball and all the hours that you racked up in those gyms all over the country, do you have a memory that sticks out?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I was not a real big fan of AAU. Obviously, you have to do it to play college basketball. It's part of it, but honestly, for me, like I much rather be playing like a high school basketball or even college basketball, just because it's way more team oriented than AAU, where it's all individual and how can you get your points up, how can you make your stats look good, how can you can get recruited. So I've always been more of a like a school team kind of guy. But AAU was obviously fun. You're with your friends, traveling around. I think the biggest memory I have of AAU would just be the travel. Being in the hotel. Playing the game with the guys. Just being with your teammates the whole time, and traveling with your friends.
That is fun. That's what I miss about playing sports. So don't take it for granted
Yeah.
because when you retire or you graduate, you're not surrounded by like 10 guys or like 30 girls all the time like I was with my lacrosse team. So it's very different.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a weird thing to go through because yeah, my whole life I've spent playing on a team, and so you're always with those 10 guys for the whole year. So yeah, that'll definitely be a interesting thing.
It will, but you got a lot of time before then. So
Yeah,
Caleb,
we got a couple more years. Yeah.
yes, you transferred from Northern Colorado to now GCU. What was that process like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm from Phoenix, and so going away for the year, I wanted to play. I went, and which I did. I got to play my freshman year. Um, but after that freshman year, I missed home, and I wanted to come back to Phoenix and be around family. And so it was kind of an easy decision for me, once I was in the portal on where to go. It was easy just to, come back home and be close to family. And I love GCU so much. GCU's been great to me. So I'm really thankful for my opportunity here.
And you are really close to family because your uncle and your dad both coach you. What has that been like?
It's amazing. It's super fun. And obviously, when you're playing for family, it kind of just means more. Winning has a bigger, purpose almost just because it's your uncle and your dad's job. And, if you don't win, things get a
Yeah.
little, yeah. So it kind of means more. And so it's been super fun, and I'm super blessed for the opportunity that I have.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I wouldn't my mom coached my middle school lacrosse team and my parents were very heavily influenced in my athletic career, but I never had them as like my college coach, right? That carries a lot more weight than middle school
Yeah.
lacrosse in Indiana. And as incredible as that is, I bet it's also, like you said, there's some challenges with it, right? Like you're so
For
heavily
sure.
invested in it. Like, how do you handle maybe the hard parts of that?
I think just going to God in prayer. You just pray about it. Whenever you have like trials, we went through a kind of a rough patch this season where we lost a couple of games that we probably shouldn't have. And no matter what you're going through, you kind of just want to block out the outside noise of what people are saying, and take your problems to God and pray about it and ask for His advice. And then also, it is nice to have family because you're kind of going through it together. You kind of have each other to lean on and ask questions and be there for one another. So I would just say ultimately, having being able to play for my dad and my uncle, it's just a blessing, and I'm super thankful from God to have this gift to be able to play for them. And it's worth going through the bad times together, but because the good times are just that much better.
That's incredible. And has there been a special moment or something that you can think back to? Maybe it was like a small whisper in a huddle or like just even a pat on the back when you needed it from your dad throughout these last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have a thing where he kind of gives me a look and he gives me like a little pound on his chest, and that just means to play hard and give it everything you got out there. And he's kind of been doing that since I was a little kid, so that's kind of special just to have that, to be able to look over and know that he's got my back, and that he's wanted me to do my best.
So you guys have been doing that not just in college, but throughout your basketball career.
Yeah, he started doing that when I was 3 years old.
Wow, that's a long time. That's a really long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
That's incredible. And it's not just your dad and your uncle, but you got to play, was it a year at GCU with your brother?
Yeah, so I got a year with him last year. So I redshirted last year and he played. So we never played on the court together last year, but we did spend the whole year, practicing together, living together. So that was super fun. And then actually my little brother, I played with him in high school. I was a senior, he was a sophomore. We won state. So I got a year with him as well. And then actually when I was a sophomore, my older brother was a junior, so we played together as well there. So I've kind of played with them, almost every year. This is really like the first year since, I mean, 8th grade that I haven't played with one of my brothers.
Wow.
So
It's
yeah,
going
that's
to be
been
different.
crazy.
It's definitely going to be different. But, and your older brother is Isaiah, is that right?
Yeah, Isaiah.
Isaiah. So, even with Isaiah and your younger brother is Luke,
Yeah, my little brother's Luke.
e-
Yep.
even with, both older and younger, I bet both of them, even though, one has more age, I bet they both were able to encourage you in different moments. And especially from the younger brother, too. I played lacrosse with my little sister, Mallory. And even though I was older and I had a year of college lacrosse under my belt and all the things, she spoke into me so many times, or would give me a little nudge, or just speak, maybe sometimes it would be scripture, maybe sometimes it'd be like, hey, you got to play better, whatever it was. So I wonder,
Yeah.
throughout your time playing with your brothers, is there a time or a moment when they really encouraged you that you thought, man, I'm so lucky that I have family members on the court with me?
Oh, every day. Even like yesterday, Isaiah texted me and was encouraging me. And I would say like last year, I guess I was kind of more in that encouraging role for Isaiah since I wasn't playing, and I was kind of that helper. No, I mean I would say my two brothers they're always there for me. If I texted them right now, they would answer in 10 minutes. And so no, we've always kind of been there for each other. And even growing up, we've pushed each other, whether it's playing one on one or just working out. Like we've always been there to push each other and to make each other better. And that's really why we are where we are, is because of one another and how we've been able to push each other. And so again, I would just say that one of the biggest blessings in my life is that I have two brothers who I know will always have my back, and I always have their back.
That's awesome. And when the Shaw brothers go and they're just like, hey, we're going to go play basketball outside, what are you guys doing? Is it pig? Is it tip and 10? Is it horse? Like what, one-on-ones? What are you doing?
No, it's always been one on one, so king of the court.
King of the court.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who usually wins?
I'm gonna say myself. They're not here to defend themselves, so I'm gonna say myself.
That's good. Hey, that was a test and you passed. You got to bet on yourself, especially with the
Always, yeah.
mindset of being in season. That's good. Well, just having that family support around you and having a family who is built on faith, how has that impacted not only your basketball career, but being at college and having a social life and going to school, and like there's so many other things with your life than just basketball. So how has that, having that close knit faith within the basketball arena, helped you in all aspects at GCU?
Yeah, I mean, I think your faith is, the most important thing. That needs to be able to bleed into every single area of your life, whether it's basketball, whether it's school, whether it's friends. And so I think that faith part has been super important for me because my family kind of instilled that into all of us. It's like, your faith is your mission. Like, whether you're playing basketball or whether you're with friends, your whole mission is, to live out Christ. And so I would say, you know, having a family that's really, taught me that has helped me, whether, I'm playing basketball or whether I'm with friends or whatever I'm doing, it's always, centered around God and, Christian values.
And what does your faith community, maybe outside of just your dad and have, you used to have your families virtually, but like what does your faith community look like at GCU?
Yeah, so we have, obviously we have our Bible study, but that's with our team, so that's still team oriented. But then also, I've gone to FCA a few times this year, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and that's always a really a cool experience because, you see all the athletes from all the different sports and how every single week they still come and they all talk about the same thing, that the most important thing in all of our lives, which is Jesus. And so I really like that is the FCA.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think what's cool about the FCA specifically is like you get to see other athletes from different sports, and it kind of brings you outside of like, oh, it's all about me, it's all about my team, and all the things you can really connect with different athletes across campus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's super
And
special.
you mentioned team Bible study because your guys are in season. So, like, you don't have a ton of time. Like, you probably got class, practice, lift, recovery, home times 10 today, right? So, like, how are you fitting in and making time for team Bible study and FCA?
Well, I'll be honest, the last few weeks we've been a little shaky when it comes to team Bible study, just with how busy everything's been. But usually we try and get in on a Sunday. Sundays are usually our days off. We have nothing going on Sundays, so we try and fit it in Sunday night. We can watch a little football, read the scripture, talk about it, and then just hang out as a team and kind of just bond over that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always good when football's involved, too. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like that. Well, Caleb, when you're going into a game or you're preparing for even just tough practices sometimes, I know for me as an athlete, like sometimes it would take more than just like watching film and knowing my plays. Like it would take a heart posture for me to get ready for my practice or my big game just because of sometimes the fear or the worry, or like I was so excited that I was like, man, I just want this to go so perfectly right. Is there maybe something that you do before big moments when you play basketball that kind of just gets your mind right or gets your heart right?
I like listening to praise and worship music before games. That's kind of what I go to. whether it's on the bus to the game or in pregame, like if I'm shooting around before the game. I kind of just like listening to praise and worship music. I think that just kind of calms me down and kind of, gives me a reminder of what everything's all about. And so that's kind of just what I do, just to kind of calm myself and not get too anxious about the game or whatever, or get too nervous or be worried about how I'm going to play. It's just kind of a reminder for me.
Yeah. And I think some people might hear that and be like, oh, yeah, I do that too. And some people might hear that, maybe some younger athletes, and be like, dude, why would you listen to church music? Like, you're about to go into battle, right? So, like, I guess could
Exactly.
you
You're
just
going into battle. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess could you just
Yeah.
elaborate, like, on why that is a battle song? Those are battle songs for you?
Yeah. It's, I guess I would say, like, it makes you realize kind of what it is you're doing. Like, this is my purpose, and so this is how I worship. This is how I, go and give my gift back to God. It's through how I play. I play hard because it's how I say thank you to God for giving me these gifts. And so, for me at least, I understand, like, you sometimes you want, faster music, you want, music that's going to get you in like a motivated kind of state of mind. But for me, it's a little different just because I like to think about it as, this is my worship. This is how I say thank you to God. This is the gift He's given me, and this is how I, give it back to Him.
That's good. I love that. And we had Michaela Rose, a LSU track star, come on this podcast, and she said something so similar. She said, this is my form of worship, is literally what she said, like kind of verbatim what you said. And I just love that because it paints such like a beautiful picture of like sports and what sports really are. And it is really a gift. Like, there were times in my career when I was, might have been upset, or I didn't have a great rep. Like, we're talking about like a 30-second rep, okay? And I was like, it's so upset about it. But I'm like, man, this is so cool. Like, I have legs that work, and I'm able to be here at practice, right? And so I think just having that perspective is so great, and it allows you to go out there and play free because you're like, man, this is for the Lord. Like, this isn't for me. This isn't for all the people in the stands. This isn't even for my coaches. This is for God. So just wondering, like, how you are on game day. How would you describe, or probably how would your teammates describe you on game day?
Man, I don't know. Probably a little quiet. I kind of stay reserved on game days. Um, I'm a big nap guy, so I take a nap before the game, so I get my rest.
Okay.
But I'm kind of quiet throughout the day, and then once we get into the game time, I like to loosen up a little bit, like dance a little bit, be real loud and vocal in the layup lines. But yeah, but not. I mean, leading up to the game, I'm probably pretty quiet.
Okay. That usually people say a mix of that, but the naps I have to ask you about because that's kind of like a hockey thing to take a nap before a game. Are you the only guy on your team that is taking naps?
No, I don't think so. I think quite a few guys probably take a nap. I take a good like probably hour and a half nap, yeah,
Okay.
before the game.
That's a long nap. But I guess if you have
Yeah,
night games, night games, you will give it to you. That's funny.
I do my nap and then I get 3 shots of espresso and then I'm ready to go.
Wow, that's no joke.
Yeah.
At like what time of day?
Fries take the shots probably around 4:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Get
good.
ready
All
to
right.
go.
Well, now we know your routine, the hour and a half nap and the 3 shots of espresso. I love that. Well, for people like me who haven't been to a GCU basketball game or maybe just a GCU sporting event, is there anything really special about going to a game?
Oh yeah, the fans. You got to see the fans. We have the best fans in the country. I'll argue that with anybody. The Havocs are crazy. So anyone who comes, they fall in love. They have the greatest time ever because the Havocs, they're the best student section I think in the country.
That's awesome. Are there any traditions at games?
Nah, we're relatively a newer school. We're newer to D1, so there's not a lot of tradition at the school. But we have the purple pregame party, which starts I think 30 minutes before the game, and it's the craziest thing you'll see.
Purple pregame party. I like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And what are they doing there?
Just dancing. They're having a great time. They got a live DJ going crazy, and they're just dancing while we're warming up. It's yeah. I couldn't
That
imagine playing at GCU.
Well, you
like
are.
as an
Good thing.
opponent.
Yeah, well, good
Yeah,
thing you're on the right side of it. That is so fun. And
yeah.
I had to think about that before I said all the three P's. That's good. But I love hearing that because I think when people, get to meet you and hear this recording, I think it's fun to have a picture in your head of like what it's really like to play basketball at GCU and what that environment is like because we can't all go to every single school and check it all out. We can only see so much from the gym. But for this 2025 GCU basketball team, what is special? What is unique about this team that you think, the season's not even halfway through, but like, what do you feel like, oh man, I really cherish about this 2025 team?
I think we just have a really special bond. I've been on a lot of teams where, chemistry's missing or, just the friendship is missing. And that's something that this team just has. We just have a very good connection. Off the court, we're always hanging out. We're always talking off the court. And I think that's going to really help us in March when, we need to come together and just win 3 games to get to March Madness. So yeah, I would just say our team is super connected and we just all love each other and we all just want to see each other do good. There's no selfishness.
Yeah, and that's something I did want to ask you because, like you kind of said with AAU, basketball is a sport where like you got to get to the rim, right? Or you might not get any stats, and you got to kind of take yourself, and there can kind of seep in that selfishness a little bit because there aren't 40 girls on the field like women's lacrosse, right? Or soccer. There's 5 people, right, on the court. So how do you play basketball with that unselfishness, but also be a baller, get to the rim, score, take it yourself when you need to? Like, how do you have those two things coexist?
Yeah, I think we had a little trouble with that in the beginning of the year, but now I think we've kind of realized that winning is the most important thing, and that if we win, everybody's life gets better. Whether that's better opportunity, whether that's more NIL or whatever. Winning is the most important thing, and winning is what's gonna make everyone's life better. And so something that coach has always said, now is he always says, how can I get the next person a better shot? How can I get the next person a better shot? And I think that's kind of resonated with our team because it's like, no, like let's get the best shot for us so that we can win. Because winning is what helps everybody. So I think that's kind of been a mindset shift over the last couple of months. And I think it's really helped us, especially these last, few games.
Definitely. That's awesome. That was something my coach used to say, what's the best shot? Because, in high school, there'd be sometimes we just taking these terrible shots. So, like, all right, we got to find the best one. Sometimes, I don't know, man. It was fun. Well, Caleb, I want to ask you one more question, and this is specifically for young basketball players who someday might want to play at GCU or just college basketball in general. Is there a drill or maybe form of cross training or something that you've done? Maybe it's even something, on the mental side that you've done that has helped you in your basketball career?
Man, I'll say this because we were talking about Nashville earlier, since we're both from Nashville. I used to always run hills. So in my backyard, you know how Nashville is. It's so, hills everywhere. So I used to always do a lot of, hill running. That's where all the bounce comes from, is from running the hills in Nashville.
Man, so you sprint up and then is it a walk down, jog down? What's that like?
Yeah, so you can even mix it up. You can do like, run backwards up the hill and then run down the hill. Like weighted vest, slides up the hill. You just can do jumps up the hill. There's just a ton of different things you can do, but it's just it's just working those leg muscles,
Yeah.
It's almost like doing a step up a million times.
That's hard. Has there ever been a moment, because I know when I've done hard drills, even starting in middle school, and then I would carry them out through my college off-season training, there were some times in college when I was like, man, I'm so glad I was doing that back in the day, or I did that this summer. Was there ever a time where you're like, man, I'm glad I did hill sprints my whole life?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When you're dunking and doing things like that, you're like, oh yeah, no, it was worth it. All the pain was worth it.
So am I hearing this right? If you want to be able to dunk, Caleb is telling you to do hill sprints?
I promise you that hill sprints is the secret to the bounce.
Okay, to the bounce. I love that. Well, hey, I don't know if dunking is in my future, but maybe I'll go do some hill sprints up my driveway to get that done. Caleb,
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Good. I'll get there eventually. Caleb, this was so nice to talk to you. I appreciate you taking the time, and good luck with the rest of your season.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.